So this is how deep is your love. Thought repair. This is part 4 in this series, and we've looked at love, trying to explore it, but it's actually immeasurable when we're talking about God's love and all the directions that it reaches, because God's love is in everything that he does. It's the foundation of all that he is and all that he expresses. Even when it comes down to talking about the character of God and us receiving the character of Christ, love is what is to be expressed. And how we deal with others, how we deal with those close to us and those not so close, how we deal with those we are acquainted with, those we are friends with, those we married to, whatever relationship we are in, we're a parent to or a child of. Love is to be at the very root, the very expression, the very outcome of all that comes from us. When Adam and Eve broke God's first command to them, which actually was to show whether they loved or had God's love in them or loved him above themselves, the image of God was erased from love to selfishness. Here's a word from an inspired writer. Jesus proceeded to show his hearers what it means to keep the commandments of God, the law of God. That it is a reproduction in themselves of the character of Christ. For in him God was daily made manifest before them. Notice that. That's why Paul said love fulfills the law. God's love, God's character, and that's what God is looking for. Christ is looking for those who claim his name to be just like him. It's Revelation 14:6. And I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel, to preach unto them that dwell in the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him. You know that fear God means to absolutely highly reverence and love God and respect God, honoring God, and give glory to him. That word glory has to do with not just praising and worship. It has to do with give glory, has to do with give expression of who God is. The word glory has to do with the character of God. Fear God and give glory to him. Fear God and express who he is, express his character, express his love, which the law of God once again outlines. And what God is looking for, what Christ is looking for, those who claim his name to express his glory. Isaiah 43:7 says, even everyone that is called by my name, you Christians, us Christians, for I have created you for my glory. I have formed you, yea, I have made you. You know, we talk about purpose, or we've heard talk about finding out what your purpose is. Those who are recreated, because we were originally created, but now we need a second birth. And when we're born again by the Holy Spirit, we are being recreated to express the glory, the character, the love of God. So in the rest of that verse, Revelation 14:7, it says, for the hour of his judgment is come. Many people talk about judgment as to whether there's going to be a judgment, but judgment here is talking about there is a seeking for. Christ is looking for his character being expressed in those that have taken on his name. The hour of his judgment has come is we are being looked at and aided and processed and sanctified so that we can be just like him, so the world can see Christ's love and desire to save. And so when we have taken on his name, we've taken on the responsibility of loving. When we accept Christ, we accept his command, and all of his commands are enablings. In other words, there's power in what he says. He says, if any man follows me, let him take up his cross daily, deny himself daily, and follow me. Denying self is denying the old man, reckoning the old man dead so Christ can live himself through us. It's a daily decision and a daily submission to the power of the Holy Spirit to express God, to express Christ in us, the hope of glory. That's why Paul said, for me to live is Christ, and to die to self is gain. Let's take a closer look at that 1 Corinthians 13 and those other aspects. In How Deep Is Your Love, Part 3, we ended with love seeks not her own. Humanity's selfish nature is one more proof that sin, which is selfishness, has completely reversed the divine order in the experience of humanity, leading people to concentrate their affections and interests on themselves. One possessed of the love of God forgets self and is completely absorbed in doing the will of God. That is why the real Christian is willing to give his life in loving ministry to others. Looking at 1 Corinthians 13 and the rest of verse 5, love is not provoked. The King James Version adds the word easily, which is supplied, and apparently was not in the original language. It actually gives a wrong shade of meaning to the statement. Love is not provoked, whether easily or otherwise. Nothing can disturb the evenness of mind, especially under stress, disposition of a perfect love, and cause a display of annoyance, impatience, or anger. To insert the word easily would suggest that there are times when a certain amount of anger, irritability, or resentment are permissible, but such is not the case with real love. Psalms 119, 165. Great peace have they who love your law. Nothing, what? Nothing shall offend them or make them stumble. Hebrews 12:3. Just think of Christ who endured from sinners such grievous opposition and bitter hostility against himself. Reckon up and consider it all in comparison with your trials, so that you may not grow weary or exhausted, losing heart and relaxing and fainting in your minds. Stepping all over my toes. The Christian knows that self, the natural heart, is opposed to the will of God, and that having committed self to the Lord, he is dead to sin, selfishness, and has no cause for irritation or annoyance. He simply turns everything over to God, knowing that whatever happens, he is under the watchful, loving eye of the one who is controlling all things for his good. Romans 8:28. One of the most striking effects of a person who is not just spiritual but is converted is the remarkable change that is seen in the character of a person who is naturally irritable in disposition, resentful, and readily aroused to anger. Under the influence of the Holy Spirit, such a one becomes mild, gentle, and calm. All efforts of Satan to annoy him and make him or her give way to the old quick-tempered spirit are unavailing, not successful. Love thinks no evil, the rest of verse 5, literally does not reckon the evil. The Greek here is conveying the idea of not taking into account the wrong that has been done, not reckoning, imputing, or charging the wrong to any man's account. What? This is another beautiful Christ-like attribute of love. It shows that love puts the best possible construction on the behavior of others. One under the control of love is not censorious, given to censor, critical, disposed to find fault, or input wrong motives to others. I definitely have stubbed my toe on this one. I'm saying, ouch! Verse 6, love does not rejoice in iniquity. The Greek says unrighteousness. Love finds no pleasure in any kind of unrighteousness on the part of friend or foe. Unrighteousness, which is sin, disobedience to God and his will, is altogether foreign to the divine nature of love. Therefore, one who loves cannot be pleased with anything that is not in harmony with the will of God. Love does not rejoice over the vices of others, or find happiness because others are found guilty of wrongdoing. It does not take malicious delight in hearing a report that someone has erred. 1 Peter 4:8. Above all things, have intense and unfailing love for one another. For love covers a multitude of sins, forgives and disregards the offenses of others. Proverbs 17:9. He who covers and forgives an offense seeks love, but he who repeats or harps on a matter separates even close friends. The unsanctified heart is glad when an enemy falls into sin or an opponent makes a mistake that involves him in disgrace. But not so with love. It takes the opposite course and seeks to help even an enemy when he is in trouble. Proverbs 24:17. Rejoice not when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles or is overthrown. I thought this was going to be the conclusion, but looks like I might have to do one more chapter on how deep is your love. This has been your host, Matthew Paris, on Thought Repair, How Deep Is Your Love? God bless you and have a good rest of the week.